everyone, and welcome back to OnLights. If you're new here, I'm Shana Suartono. I'll be your host today. Dan seperti biasa, kita akan ngomongin banyak hal penting. Dan kali ini kita akan ngomongin satu hal yang kayaknya sangat fundamental untuk kita sebagai manusia, sebagai makhluk hidup, yaitu finding meanings in food and our connection with food. Maka dari itu, aku akan memperkenalkan, aku ditemani hari ini oleh temanku, yaitu Nina Nikichiwo, Holistic Health Coach.
Yes.
Hai, thank you udah membolehkan kami datang hari ini.
No worries, my pleasure.
Alright, before we go anywhere deep, mungkin aku mau nanya satu hal yang sangat basic gitu ya. Apa sih yang kamu makan pagi ini?
This morning I actually ate muffin and coffee.
Muffin and coffee.
Yeah.
Kenapa?
Muffin because it's good. I mean, like it's fast today. I need something fast.
Okay.
Because today aku ada event at Jakarta Barat around 7:30. So I need something fast. And I'm like starving already by 6. So, you know, there's muffin in the fridge and then I just heat it up and then my boyfriend made coffee and then that's it. We just off and go.
Okay. Satu hal juga yang penting adalah kita ngomongin morning routines. Kalau kita bicara mengenai waktu di tiap hari gitu ya. When do you feel most connected to yourself during an ordinary day?
Most connected with myself is usually after I had my yoga routine. So usually if I don't have any events in the morning, I would go and do Mysore practice, which is Ashtanga yoga.
Okay.
And that's around 6:30 a.m. in the morning. Okay. And then it's finished around 8:30 a.m. And then after that, I feel like, so connected. It feels like so good. Okay. It's either that or at night after I do my meditation.
Okay. You do meditation at night?
Yes, I did meditation at night around 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes. I never count anymore. I used to do it like diligently, like 1 hour every day when it was pandemic. Tapi kan, who got time for it now? Life happens. Really? Terus itu kayak, for me, it's just not feasible. But again, everyone has different priorities and routine, I guess.
Yeah, but our morning routines keep us grounded nggak sih? Aku tuh kayak ngerasa slow mornings tuh kayak sebuah kemewahan gitu loh.
Yeah.
Karena kan we live in a very fast-paced kota gitu yang kadang-kadang tuh mudah banget untuk lupa.
Ya,
begitu banyak hal. Maka dari itu aku juga pengen ngomongin, kamu bekerja di fashion untuk waktu yang cukup lama.
Yeah, I know, so long.
And then you decided to go into this holistic health industry. Mungkin kembali ke makanan ya. Aku penasaran. When you were in that industry, what was your relationship with food?
Wow, I think I have to say that I used to be the most or unhealthiest person.
Really?
Ever knew. Maybe I was just too hard on myself, but you know, soalnya, tapi I used to not having breakfast, and if I eat, I would eat, you know, fast food like chicken nuggets, rice.
Really?
And I drank like 4 minimum cups of coffee every day. This still keeps me going. And then I work, you know, I usually wake up around 11.
Really?
Yeah, around 11.
What time do you sleep?
Around 3-4 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
And I partied a lot as well. And it came with the title, fashion designer, and then you need to meet people and then...
Okay.
You know, I'm not saying that every fashion designer is like that, but it's just back then during my days, it was, you know, party and fashion designer, fashion shows is always at night. And then, you know, and events is always at night and always at clubs. So, you know, to be happening.
Yeah, you have to be a night owl.
Yeah.
Oke.
Yeah.
Oke, terus kapan tuh momen yang kayak, oke, I think I need to change.
It was 2018, late 2018. Well, the reason was because I had to get divorced back then, so it was very personal. But I think the divorce made me realize that I need to change, like for the sake of my children.
The lifestyle.
Yeah, the lifestyle, because I know that and then, there's like small, reminders, I think, but
Yeah.
I wasn't like really paid attention to it. I was just kayak, oh ya gitu. Tapi if I look back and remember gitu, ada lah kayak misalnya kayak little things such as I cannot pick up my kids when they were like 2 years old. And then I would be like out of breath. And then I would be, all of those things because I never exercise. I didn't exercise. I smoked like a pack a day. And then,
Oh yeah.
and then with that kind of lifestyle, of course, it's like, it's hard on your liver, hard on your kidneys. And then
Yeah.
it's just, and I kept getting sick as well. But I keep on ignoring it because I thought, it comes with the job, being, a mother and then, working. And then you just have to you have this like go mentality.
Iya.
Where
Iya.
you just didn't think that it was a normal gitu.
Iya, dan kayaknya kalau lagi di situ kayak alarms badan kita off nggak sih?
Yeah.
Gitu. Kadang kan lupa ya sama semua hal gitu. But you mentioned about being a mom. How do becoming a mother shift the way you think about nourishment dan overall health?
Yeah, I read somewhere that women might not change for themselves, but mothers would change themselves for the life of the kids.
Nice. Okay.
And that happened to me.
Yeah.
I always say that my kids saved my life. I think if I never become a mother, I wouldn't be here like talking to you. I think I would be dead long ago.
Takut juga.
Kayak nggak mungkin ya, seenggaknya kita nggak bakal ngomongin tentang wellness and health here, I would be like different Nina. Tapi maksudnya kayak, it was, so it just changed its shape, how I think about how I should shape myself. Because, who you are is no longer for you. The life
True.
is not for you. It's also for your kids.
Yeah.
And also my mom said kayak, Nina kalau misalnya Nina tuh nggak sehat gitu, if you don't live your life, siapa yang bakal ngurusin anak-anak kamu?
Yeah.
Gitu. Kayak you don't have, maksudnya the only capabilities, pokoknya buat anak-anak tuh ya kamu doang gitu. Nggak ada lagi gitu.
Bener, dan juga mengingatkan kita pengen lihat mereka nanti lulus, ya kan, mereka nikah, mereka punya anak, gitu. I mean, those kind of thing kayak bikin kita hidup nggak cuma buat hari ini, tapi pastinya kayak mikir masa depan banget.
Yeah, exactly.
Oke, tadi kamu juga sempat mention about separation. Sebagai seorang single mom juga. I know that separation can be like huge identity reset. So how did that period change your inner world?
I think it was hard at first. It was really hard. But I think I'm glad it happened. Because if it didn't happen, I wouldn't have the courage to change. Because when, aku selalu bilang kayak life is like a slingshot. Jadi, pas the separation is like me down there, like being like, di bawah banget nih, udah at the bottom of everything. And then after that, when I think like, okay, I cannot be like this. This is only me now. It's only me alone. I have to, take care of my kids, take care of myself. And then it's just, it's just.
When did that happen?
November, I remember clearly. It's like this yesterday, November 2018.
Okay. Okay. What have you learned from that separation?
That you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay.
True.
And, you're gonna be okay. You're stronger, and the kids is more appreciative. Mereka tuh ternyata tuh nggak selalu butuh dua orang. Kan biasanya kayak kita kayak di apa ya? I'm not gonna say bombard, but kayak gitulah. Kayak pokoknya harus ada dua orang in any kind of religion, whatever. But it actually not. You just need parents that is like present and emotionally available and able to be honest to them and treat them like like human as opposed to kids gitu. And
True.
yeah, that's that.
Ya, jadi mikir lagi. Yeah, I know. Tapi berarti how many years sekarang udah lewat tuh 2002,
2018, sekarang 2026, so 8 years almost.
8 years, okay. Dan 8 years ini, apakah kamu udah benar-benar merasa udah menata kembali?
I think I have. Yeah. I had a civil relationship with my ex-husband. It wasn't like that before. Tapi
Yeah, we all know all the ups and downs.
Yeah, but civil lah, at least civil. So that's that.
At least itu ya, benar. Karena emang kadang tuh co-parenting kan easier said than done.
Yeah.
Iya kan, tetap ada residu menurut aku untuk semua feelings yang pernah ada dan semua yang harusnya ditinggalkan di kemarin, tapi terbawa sampai hari ini gitu. So I know it's something that needs to be you need to work on it every single day.
Yeah.
Gitu. Kayak the relationship somehow evolves aja.
Yeah.
Ya kan, bukan kayak hilang. Makanya aku selalu bilang ke beberapa teman aku yang juga in the middle of separation atau emang udah divorce, just remember that you will still have a relationship with your ex, gitu, no matter what gitu. Apalagi ada anak gitu kan. So paham banget ribetnya. Okay, let's go back to intuitive eating karena aku penasaran banget mengenai hal ini. What do people often misunderstand dari intuitive eating? Karena kan kembali ngomongin alarm tubuh gitu, banyak yang suka mati, ada yang harus dihidupkan. Nah itu gimana sih?
I think it's complicate things. Human likes to complicate things. Tapi sebenarnya it's actually very simple.
Oh ya?
I think it's all about awareness. If you're aware of your body, and women usually, and men as well, but women most of the time will talk about craving, right? And that is about intuitive lah, salah satunya. So craving, when we are aware of our body, craving itu sebenarnya ada dua. Ada physical craving sama emotional craving.
Okay.
And our body is actually very smart, for example. So for example, right, physical craving itu datangnya jam-jam makan. Terus kita bisa makan apa aja. Kita nggak pemilih. Terus habis itu bisa nunda laparnya. That's physical craving. Okay. Emang badan kita emang butuh makanan.
Minta.
Terus biasanya juga ada bunyi lah dari badan, ada signal gitu. Ada kita pusing, bunyi lapar gitu, sakit perut gitu, all of those. Okay. Nah, emotional craving. Now this is the one yang biasanya tuh orang-orang terus itu suka salah gitu. Jadinya karena mereka not aware enough with their body. Jadinya terus habis itu they mix up the physical and the emotional.
Okay.
The emotional craving, tanda-tandanya, for example, it comes at sporadic times. Jam 12 lah, tiba-tiba kayaknya Indomie enak gitu.
Enak sih.
Terus or maybe when during PMS, maybe terus habis itu kayak, terus kalau kita lagi kesel, tiba-tiba kayak makan pedes nih gitu.
Emotional eating, ya.
Yeah, that's when emotional craving comes. And you cannot eat just anything. It has to be specific. Harus martabak manis, pecenongan misalnya. Nggak bisa. Nggak bisa yang lain.
Sih, kembali lagi enak sih.
Nggak bisa yang lain. Pokoknya martabak manisnya harus itu gitu. And it creates this deep, like you feel it. Like when you eat it, you feel like this sense of relief. Kayak, but after that usually it followed by sense of guilt.
I see. Karena makannya bukan buat tubuh ya.
Yes.
Oke.
Dan sekali lagi segala sesuatu yang sebenarnya emosional, kalau misalnya kita isi bukan dengan emosi, then it will create another problem. Karena nggak akan terisi kan.
Iya, karena ego ya, yang keisi ya. Jadi egonya kalau dikasih makan, egonya makin besar.
Iya.
Oke.
So
Kalau gitu aku juga penasaran, apa sih artinya untuk beneran mendengarkan tubuh kita gitu? Kenapa sih sulit untuk kita dengar ya? Tadi kamu juga sempat cerita kalau ada tuh gestur-gestur, ada apa hal-hal kecil yang sebenarnya udah ngasih warning kan tubuh kita. Tapi kan kadang kita suka ignore ya, karena cuma segini doang gitu, nggak terlalu kerasa gitu. Kenapa sih? Why is it so hard for us to listen to our body?
Because human lives in the mind, right?
Right.
Yeah. Jadi emang susah. Susah. And plus we live in this very fast-paced lifestyle, and for human to be able to listen and to become more aware of their body, we need to slow down.
Yeah, we don't have time to slow down.
Or so they say. Kayak apa sih slow down gitu? Slow down nanti aja lah kalau udah sakit baru tidur gitu. And that's very normal. That's what I found in most of my clients as well. It's very hard for them to slow down.
True. Tapi aku juga lagi belajar tentang feminine energy, dan katanya untuk seorang perempuan to live in their body itu emang harus ngerasain banget kan. Maksudnya kita kan terbiasa, we live in a man's world. Makanya kita lebih sering memakai logika kan. Sedangkan if you want to connect with your feminine energy, katanya terlalu lebih sering lah untuk mendengarkan tubuh kita gitu. Dan for me itu agak sulit gitu, karena dulu kan sensasi-sensasi tubuh kayak tiba-tiba ada mual, ada rasa ada rasa sakit di dada gitu. Hal-hal kayak gitu kan aku nggak pernah terlalu memperhatikan ya sebelumnya. But then setelah mencoba mendengarkan tubuh tuh ternyata setiap kali ada sebuah kejadian yang kayaknya besar gitu ya, misalnya diamukin temen gitu, misalnya ada sedih dan lain-lain, ternyata ada loh rasanya.
Ada rasanya.
Iya kan? Tapi kita lupa untuk
ada
ngerasain
impactnya.
gitu.
Iya.
Dan aku jadi sekarang kayak sangat percaya kalau tubuh aku tiba-tiba gitu tuh. Oh, there's gonna be something nih di sini.
Yeah, magical, isn't it?
Iya. Tapi ya itu ya, jadi orang modern tuh lucu aja gitu. Kayak kita kan sebenarnya udah ada dari dulu ya, insting yang udah diberikan oleh nenek moyang kita, but we turn it off. We choose to turn it off gitu, kayak karena ya semua lah gitu, kita harus ke kanan ke kiri biar cepet gitu, biar berfungsi kan. Padahal fungsi kita itu kan lengkap semuanya ya dengan intuisi dan lain-lain gitu. Dan kayaknya aku juga penasaran kalau kita bicara mengenai intuitive eating, all those cravings kan tadi kamu sempat bilang ya, ada beberapa yang kayaknya kok spesifik banget gitu, pengen martabak manis gitu kan ya. Do you believe that our food choices reflect our emotional state?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Definitely.
Oh ya.
Definitely. I have so many clients. Jadi biasanya aku suka tanya, coba deh kamu you keep your food diary, just log. You can eat anything. I never tell my clients
jangan ini, jangan itu.
Jangan makan ini, jangan makan ini. Saya just eat. Kayak makan aja. Tapi terus habis itu di put on diary gitu. How do you feel after? And then a lot of them find kayak misalnya, kalau misalnya lagi bosen tuh aku pengennya tuh makannya tuh yang kriuk-kriuk gitu.
Iya sih.
Ya kan? Kenapa? Soalnya kayak ada temennya, gitu, ada suara gitu. So that's just, terus kalau lagi marah gitu, pengennya tuh makannya tuh sesuatu yang pedes gitu. Is either that, atau kalau kalau misalnya lagi sakit gitu, lagi sedih, gloomy, pengennya yang anget, yang warm, yang soupy gitu.
Iya ya. Aku lagi coba mengingat juga nih.
Yeah, if you or something sweet. Biasanya kalau lagi sedih, it's either way.
True. Ya. Kalau gitu, how do shame and judgment interfere with our ability to enjoy food? Karena kadang kan, apalagi when you talk about sweets gitu, pasti kan ada rasa kayak, Gitu.
Yeah, we judge ourselves so much.
Banget,
Iya,
banget.
kayak makan apa manis sedikit, aduh kalorinya berapa nih gitu, ntar aku harus bakar berapa nih, harus olahraga berapa lama nih gitu kayak
Yeah.
so much of that. For me is again because I don't believe in counting calories can only get you so much, but I actually believe that we actually know when to stop eating. Jadi sebenarnya just enjoy food as they are, tapi ya nggak usah berlebihan gitu. Kalau misalnya pengen makan makanan manis gitu, this is your favorite martabak manis dari Pecenongan gitu, kayak udah jauh-jauh nih datang ke Bintaro misalnya, masa kayak you're not going to eat it gitu. For me sih I'll eat it, tapi ya satu cukup.
Okay.
And then when you eat it with awareness and intention, like. No, tell yourself, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna eat this. I'm gonna enjoy this because this is my favorite food, gitu. And then just eat.
Ya. Sebenarnya kalau di dalam ketika kita, maksudnya to be able to enjoy our food, kayak to the max gitu ya. Setting seperti apa sih yang kita butuhkan? Karena kan kadang kalau kita makan sama teman-teman nih, lupa ngobrol terus. Habis manis, asin, habis asin manis lagi gitu.
Yeah, again, awareness sih. Awareness. We are so many times that I thought that I wouldn't be able to enjoy the company of my friends without, coffee or cigarettes or alcohols, for example. I used to just, sit down and drink beers with my friend, but now no more. I can just like sit and just enjoy their presence without having to eat or having to, Again, kalau misalnya kita aware sama physical and emotional craving, it's different. Because when we are aware, kalau misalnya, oh yeah, her story makes me feel like this, and then I need something sweet, and then his story makes me feel like this. Triggers come every time, right?
Banget.
So when we can differentiate which one is physical, which one is emotional, then we are able to hold ourselves and then tell ourselves, no, okay, yes, I know that you are feeling this way. We are going to visit this later at night, for example, during the meditation, journaling, whatever. The time when you have for yourself to be able to sit with yourself and go through that feelings.
Oke.
Yeah.
Oke, jadi sebenarnya juga kalau tiba-tiba ada emotions yang muncul ke permukaan, delay aja dulu. Kita cermati, observe.
Yeah, we can just tell ourselves, okay, you know what? I know that you feel like this. I know lo nggak suka kan ngedengerin dia ngomong belak-belakan tentang diri lo, misalnya, for example, rasa ketampar kan gitu. That's okay. You know what? For some people we can't be blunt gitu. Jadi kayak ya udah nggak apa-apa. Gitu kita kayak okay, it's okay. I know that you feel like this, Nina. Gitu. I'm going to visit you later.
I see. Pattern yang paling sering kamu lihat di clients kamu apa?
Numbing emotions.
Oh ya?
Yeah. Not being able to name their emotions is very common. Taunya sedih, marah, happy. That's it most of the time. Guilt maybe, but they cannot even differentiate guilt and shame. Sometimes, anger, but kadang-kadang juga agak bingung. Oh ya, I'm actually disappointed ya gitu, kayak more complex emotions gitu. It's harder.
Okay. When working with a client, walk us through the process. Kamu biasanya ada assessment dulu kah atau?
Ada assessment dulu. So the first thing that I do, I'll send them a form. They have to fill out quite a bit of questions that I have. Simply because some people they say that they want to heal, but do they actually want to? Kalau misalnya mereka benar-benar mau, then they'll go through and sit down and then answer all of the questions that I have, and then after that they'll go sit with me for 40 minutes, and then let's just go through and talk together. So then I can get to know them better and they can get to know me as well, because some of them wouldn't like the way I coach or the way I tell, stories or whatever.
Oh, oke.
Gitu.
Terus mereka akan punya that apa sih yang diisi
Yeah.
makanan-makanan itu.
Jadi terus habis itu dari that form, terus
Mm-mm.
habis itu and then I would kalau mereka okay,
Mm-mm.
then I will give them a go. Okay, what do you want? What do you want for what you would like to have for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months? How do you see your life? Terus
Okay.
and then I work through that. I only do one-on-one, jadi it's
Oh,
very personalized.
oke. Berapa lama sih biasanya
6 months.
6 months? Oke, untuk membuat koneksi yang baik lagi itu ya.
Yeah, because it's proven scientifically as well, based on research and everything, that you need to create a new pathway, right, in your brain itu 6 months minimum. Jadi makanya aku bilang kalau misalnya ada klien datang ke aku patah hati gitu, terus habis itu kapan sih sakitnya stop gitu, I was like minimum 6 months. Can be faster, but depends on how you process.
Ya.
Gitu.
Oke, 6 months itu yang paling ini ya.
Minimum.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Ada nggak satu clients yang mungkin kisahnya paling berkesan gitu for you?
So many.
Mm-mm.
So many. Let's see what I remember. Apa ya? Yang paling berkesan sih ada satu sih,
Mm-mm.
that she went through grief of her mother, and at first she wouldn't be able to name the grief at all.
Oh ya?
And then after that, after a while, she would be able to say that the grief is like clouds, warnanya putih. Terus habis itu it's like, it's not suffocating. It's just, ada aja gitu. Tapi the more that she sits through it, and then the grief starting to, just melts away and fades away gitu. And then it's just beautiful how she can always like revisits that every time that she feels grief. Because I think for us, each one of us, emotions can look very different.
True.
Maybe for her, looks like clouds. For other griefs, looks like waves. Some look like, this deep black thing that just sucks you. One of the clients say that anger is like lightning strikes gitu. So it's amazing how our mind and our body feels. And when it feels, terus habis itu we can be that so creative and so out there, kayak it's just fantastic. I love that about my clients, about coaching them.
Oke. One of the success stories berarti apa yang akhirnya mereka bisa habits apa yang akhirnya mereka bisa jalani gitu?
Well, a lot sih. My recent ones that she would be able to get out from the toxic relationship that she had.
Really? Through food?
Through food. Because I think like food is just a door.
Medium, yeah.
Yeah. Right? But because she came to me because she binge eat. And then after that, and then we walk through kayak yang kenapa, kayak why did you do this, and then when, and etc. Terus habis itu, and then it just opens up. Oh yeah, I have this relationship. I was hard on myself. I wasn't really speaking to my parents gitu, and then etc. Jadi kayak there's this loneliness and such, and then very hard on herself basically. So yeah, that's that. And then it just opens up. And then in the end, she said that, you know what, I am able to say, I don't want this relationship anymore. Then blocks him every time. And then she just told me that every time he called, I'd be able to, just reject. And then even if he called with another number and messaged her with another number, he would be able and block it again. And
Wow.
and for me, that's like strength. And knowing that you can do all that just through food. I think that's just fantastic.
Wow, oke. Iya, menarik banget sih. Karena aku juga ngerasa, I don't know, I feel like my relationship with food dulu berantakan banget gitu. Ada momen aku binge eating banget. Jadi kayak yo-yo banget dulu. Karena I was dieting so much, kayak every single day. Jadi on my cheat days, I binge eat sampai kayak
No.
wow gitu kan.
Yeah.
Terus ya sekarang mendingan banget dan salah satunya aku pernah dengar satu podcast yang bilang perlakukan badan kita tuh kayak anak kita. Karena kan ketika kita udah punya anak, aku tuh ngasih semua yang terbaik buat dia. Aku mau yogurt yang paling bagus ya kan, buah dengan kualitas paling bagus gitu.
Of course.
Iya kan, kenapa kita nggak ngasih itu buat badan kita dan perlakukan diri kita tuh seperti anak kita gitu. So ya, with that mindset aku kayak kembali lagi untuk oke, gitu, memperbaiki semuanya dan nggak apa-apa banget kalau mau makan, tapi benar-benar harus aware banget gitu kan dengan makanan kita. And then I also want to talk about sound healing.
Okay.
You've been a sound healer for how many years now?
Jalan tahun ketiga.
I see. Okay. How did sound healing find you?
I think through my health journey, I found meditation first. And then through meditation, I think I found sound healing. I found it hard for me to guide my clients to meditation. I mean, bisa pakai sound, suara aku gitu, tapi it's harder, right? Because by research juga kita cuma bisa kayak mencapai kayak theta kalau misalnya if we sit at least 40 minutes. And that's, after berapa kali gitu latihan gitu. Nggak bisa langsung juga sekali duduk terus nyampe. So it's that hard. So I was like thinking, terus pakai apa ya? And then I joined like this sound healing session once in Bali, just like any other, most people do. Terus I was like, oh, this is nice, this is fast gitu, kayak enak banget, cepet ya gitu. So then, I was like, okay, let me do it, let me learn. So then I can help my clients more and help other people more. Because, one thing that I found from all of my clients itu susah banget slow down-nya.
Banget. Tapi butuh disiplin sih untuk melakukan itu setiap kali ya. Untuk mengingatkan diri kita untuk kalau slow down tuh nggak apa-apa loh gitu. Karena kadang aku tuh bahkan ada rasa guilty kalau nggak exercise. Ya kan, kadang kayak aku tuh dan sekarang sering lupa belum ada rest day loh minggu ini.
No.
Kan geblek ya. Hal-hal kayak gitu tuh harus diingetin lagi gitu. I also want to know, is there any correlation between sound healing sama intuitive eating, creating that healthy relationship with food?
Yeah, of course. I mean, sorry.
It's okay.
I mean, yes, of course. Soalnya kalau balik lagi ke intuitive eating kan tadi kan about building awareness, right? And sound healing, like meditation is actually, building that awareness with your body. Knowing that, oh ternyata aku tuh tidak sedang baik-baik aja ya. Oh ternyata tuh aku tuh pusing ya selama ini ya. Oh ternyata selama ini pundak aku tuh sakit ya gitu. Sometimes, we hold so much tension in our body or emotions, carry so much gitu. And we just, numb gitu. Sampai akhirnya terus kita juga nggak sadar kalau sebenarnya, oh badan aku tuh tense ya selama ini gitu. Kayak, nobody teach you that, right?
Bener banget.
Yeah.
Dan sound healing sih menurut aku, experience-nya yang aku ingat, aku pernah rasain aneh itu adalah tangan aku tuh goyang sendiri.
Yeah.
Itu kenapa sih? Aku tuh sampai, okay, what is happening?
Well, twitching is normal because kalau aku lihatnya kayak gini, basically because the resonance and the vibrations helps our nervous system to relax. So then makanya biasanya tuh badan kita kan hold so much, right? Sometimes it's tense, stress, tense. Terus kita nggak sadar gitu kalau sama ini tuh fight or flight nih di satu badan gitu. Nah pas relax jadi twitch dia kayak keluar aja gitu kayak.
Iya.
Yeah. Some people would say that your left hand is your left side, kalau twitching is your feminine, your right side is your masculine. Some would say that, but yeah, it's to each its own.
I see. Yeah. Left side kan? Left side. Kelihatan ya. Oke. Apa namanya? Aku penasaran. Oke, sebenarnya apa yang terjadi berarti? Apakah kita memang masuk ke si theta itu ketika kita masuk di sound healing, dan biasanya metodenya tuh seperti apa? Kita duduk dulu, tidur dulu, atau?
Basically, kalau aku setiap sound healer have different methods, I think, to reach there. Atau tujuannya apa gitu, intensinya apa. Tapi kalau buat aku tuh aku selalu sama. I just want my clients to relax. Masalah nanti mereka mau nangis, mengeluarkan trauma atau healing apapun itu gitu, itu nanti aja lah gitu. Relaxnya tidur juga nggak apa-apa gitu. Because I think we all need this deep sleep, right? This deep restorative sleep gitu, yang banyak banget gitu nggak tahu gitu gimana caranya. Ada yang datang ke kelas aku terus habis itu kayak, kok selama ini aku cuman tidur tuh nggak pernah kayak gini ya gitu. Tidur ya tidur aja gitu, nggak pernah kayak deep sleep gitu. Di kelas aku bisa, terus dia kayak, oh tidur yang deep tuh kayak gini gitu.
Iya ya. Kalau aku kayaknya aku inget setiap kali sound healing nggak pernah bisa tidur sih, karena kayak nggak tahu kenapa ya. Ada ya itu emotional burst masih banyak kayaknya ya, bagasi-bagasi yang belum terbuka.
Harus di-unpack satu-satu ya.
Iya. Dan aku percaya memang maksudnya kita tuh kan kayak onion ya, kita tuh punya banyak layers gitu. Even if kayak one day I think I'm okay today, tapi ternyata tiba-tiba di tengah hari, no, I don't feel that okay gitu kan. Maksudnya emang
ups and
downs-nya banyak gitu, dan well, that's life.
That's life.
Mau gimana lagi? Okay, now I want to go back to motherhood. Sebagai seorang holistic health coach, how do you teach this awareness and how to teach this lifestyle to your kids?
I always teach my kids to be emotionally honest.
Okay.
And any kind of emotion in this household is accepted as they are.
Okay.
So whether they are angry, sad, disgusted, bored, whatever, they can. They can even swear in the house, because I think swearing is just, again, within context, swearing is just how you express yourself, express your anger.
True.
If you tell your kids to not do that without asking why, then, you wouldn't be able to actually know what's inside, what they're thinking. So just swear. I say, tapi jangan di sekolah. The rules-nya ya, again, boundaries. Kalau di rumah, I just want my kids to know that the house is safe space for them. They can always come back, and then they feel safe again.
Katanya swearing itu salah satu tanda intelligence sih.
Oh yeah, okay. Then my kids are very, very, very fucking intelligent.
Okay. What about their relationship with food?
Their relationship with food is good too. They eat. I never kayak tell them not eat anything.
Fast food?
Fast food jarang ya, soalnya mereka tahu sendiri gitu kayak yang I think all of us know what to eat and not to eat. Jadi sebenarnya again yang bikin complicated itu kan emosi. Benar. Sebenarnya itu cuman kayak for my kids it's just apa ya, I think because mereka udah emotionally udah gampang gitu. So when they are able to communicate openly gitu, jadi they don't need to hide behind food anymore. So they just eat whatever they want to eat. My kids will come down and then ask me, "Mom, can I have a snack?" And then I would just go look at the clock and then say, "Well, it's 3 p.m. so of course maybe you can." Tapi kalau at 6, and I was like, well, it's 6 p.m. gitu. Don't you think you want to have dinner instead? And then they were like, oh yeah, sure, I'll have dinner. Sometimes, my kids, soalnya udah preteen gitu, sometimes they don't want to eat dinner. And I was like, yeah, fine, whatever, gitu.
Sudah mulai ya
Sudah
menjaga.
mulai tapi ya udah gitu kan.
Asik. Emang nurun ya berarti consciousness-nya. Oke. How do you practice intuitive eating on chaotic days? Karena kan ada, real life is messy. Sometimes you have to go places.
Like this morning.
Yeah. Muffin.
Like this morning, yeah, don't be too hard on yourself.
Okay.
I mean, like, if you look at calories, for example, like you're gonna burn out those calories anyway by sleeping. Totally.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-uh.
And so just don't worry about it. Don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to eat. Because remember that eat is energy. It's how you get through your day. And and our life is already hard as it is. And then judging,
Iya.
ditambah dijudge lagi kayak yang gak boleh makan ini
Iya.
gitu karena gini.
Iya, terlalu banyak ya yang harus kayak ya udah kalau mau makan ya makan aja gitu ya.
Udah, kalau makan aja. Again, kalau buat aku tuh kayak lebih ke porsi sih.
Oke.
I believe that we know, again, kalau misalnya we are more aware with ourselves, then we are able to know how much should we eat. Gitu, kayak we love like sweets in the house. I love like cakes gitu. I love, again, martabak manis Pecenongan. Itu nomor 1. We love kayak sometimes we order like if you know Moody Baker gitu.
Yeah. I love them. Yeah.
Gitu kan, kadang kayak ya udah gitu. Tapi I love their rum Black Forest gitu. Terus tapi kita kadang kayak me would just eat kayak 1 scoop and then it's okay and then we keep it again in the fridge.
Bener.
My friend would be like kayak you are crazy. It's okay gitu.
Iya. Yang penting ngerasain ya dengan all the senses.
Yeah. As long as you know your portion, you wanna eat, just eat. Whatever, it's okay.
Tapi tadi satu poin dari kamu yang sangat perlu di-highlight adalah ketika kita tidur kita juga membakar kalori ya.
Yeah.
Nah, itu dia. Karena tadi pagi banget baru aku ketemu teman aku yang bilang, aduh gue gemuk banget nih gitu, ngomong ke aku kan, gue gemuk banget nih Nas gitu. Kenapa emang lo makan apa gitu? Enggak, gue makan tuh nggak kenapa-napa, tapi gue sering nggak tidur gitu kan. So bang kayak oke, pilar utamanya adalah beresin tidur.
Iya, beresin tidur. Benar. Soalnya kalau tidur kita nggak bagus juga, maksudnya kita jarang tidurnya misalnya suka telat atau pagi gitu, our body will hold water. Soalnya fight or flight, jadi kayak yang gue harus hold water to be alive gitu. Because our body have its own system, it's very smart. Jadi makanya we look bloated, we look puffy gitu, because of that. And we gain weight by not sleeping gitu. Jadi makanya resting is very important.
Itu dia. Kalau bingung pokoknya tidur dulu. Biarkanlah masalahnya ada di besok.
Tidur dulu aja.
Tidur dulu ya. Oke. Now, I want to know now, as you are a holistic health coach, what does a meaningful relationship with food feel like to you?
Meaningful relationship with food feel like feel at peace, I think. It feel like you can eat whatever.
Okay, martabak.
Yeah, you can eat whatever and not judgy gitu. Because your body fluctuates anyway gitu.
Yeah,
kayak
true.
Right? Kayak yang yes, I do want that flat abs garis-garis, I do gitu. But I also want martabak. Jadi kayak
compromise.
Flat abs will come later. I know, soalnya I know it will come later. Not now, later.
Oke, buat yang ingin coba intuitive eating, what is the first step, the gentlest step for them to do?
Okay, the gentlest step is to be able to eat and then try and name the emotion, I think.
Okay.
Name the emotion. What do you feel after you eat this or when you eat it? Gitu. Sometimes, soalnya kita banyaknya tuh nggak mikir gitu. Padahal sebenarnya kalau kita makan itu udah menggunakan perasaan. Because every time people ask you, for example, what do you feel like eating? What do you feel like eating? I feel like eating. It's always like that, right?
Iya, tapi perempuan jawabannya terserah.
Karena malas ya, emosinya berlayer ya, Kak.
Iya. Terserah, tebak aja. Itu yang, aduh bingung nih. So name your emotion. Jadi bisa tahu juga nggak sih cravings kita apa?
Yeah.
Pengennya apa gitu ya,
Yeah.
badan kita lagi ingin apa
Yeah.
gitu.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like, for example, if you crave something sweet, for example, maybe you can ask yourself, this is the harder way. Maksudnya, tapi you can ask yourself, kayak,
Yeah.
oh, why am I craving that? Gitu.
Mm-mm. I see. Aku pengen nanya yang melenceng sedikit ya, karena aku tuh, again, makanya aku tadi bilang aku punya hubungan yang cukup unik dengan makanan gitu, naik turun. And then I went to therapy, dan satu hal yang aku pelajari banget ternyata, the connection that I have with food, basisnya, fundamentalsnya adalah the connection that I have with my mom, the relationship that I have with my mom. Jadi di dalam Jungian ternyata semua orang yang memiliki hubungan unik dengan makanan ternyata basisnya adalah hubungan uniknya dengan ibu.
Bisa juga.
Dan once aku akhirnya beresin tuh ngobrol sama mama lebih jauh gitu ya, karena kan nourishment kan ibu ya, maksudnya datang dari itu kan seperti kita mengambil ya semua sayuran semua kan dari Mother Earth, right? Terus aku kayak baru sadar kalau ketika aku membereskan hubungan aku dengan ibu aku dan membereskan hubungan aku dengan feminine energy, aku membereskan hubungan aku dengan makanan ternyata.
Yeah.
Kayak itu lucu banget ketika aku merasakan itu semua. Terus sekarang nggak segitu takutnya, tapi tetap kayak makannya tuh sekarang lebih aware banget gitu. Dan I know when my body feels kayaknya lagi bloated nih gitu. Kayaknya gue tadi makannya kebanyakan deh gitu. Ternyata, tapi masih ada maksudnya days ketika aku kayak overeat gitu.
Yeah.
Apakah itu masih ada di kamu juga?
Masih dong.
Yeah.
Masih dong sometimes.
PMS gitu.
When food is too good, for example, like life, life happens. Again, kayak yang namanya there's no such thing as perfection. There's no such thing. What we can do is just, become more aware and then maybe laugh about it a little. Just like, okay, I'll do better next time. Sorry.
Maaf hilaf gitu ya. Oke. Aku pengen tahu satu pertanyaan terakhir. Setelah sudah melewati begitu banyak proses separation, and then you find yourself through this journey. What is this whole thing, semuanya nih, teaching you about connecting with your mind, body, and soul?
What does it teach me? That to trust, to give myself time, so then I can, whenever I'm faced with hard choices, I learn to give myself time, so then I can align everything. Because when I know that I made a right choice, itu tuh rasanya tuh kayak your mind and your body and your soul is just have like this yes gitu. There's this quiet yes in my gut.
Industri ya.
Yeah, in my gut and in my heart and in my mind, yes.
Okay. That's when you know that's the right decision. Okay.
Yes, but you gotta give yourself time. So a lot of us would be like kayak yang pas ditanya gitu WhatsApp harus balas aja.
Udah nggak apa-apa ya. Berarti ignore sesekali nggak apa-apa ya.
Iya nggak apa-apa lah.
Okay. Alright, thank you so much Nina Nikichio untuk begitu banyak metode yang bisa aku coba langsung ya untuk mendengarkan diri aku lebih dalam. Mungkin juga buat kamu yang sering binge eating, sering cravingsnya banyak gitu. Learn to slow down karena makan pelan itu juga merasakan semua makanannya ya, esensnya gitu semuanya. So be gentle to yourself and I hope this episode will give you insights in somehow reconnecting and make that healthy relationship with food. Dan langsung bisa dicoba makan siang, makan malam, makan pagi. And thank you so much for watching this episode. I'll see you again on another episode of On Lights. Bye bye.